Beerburg. We're brewing with Gino and Andrew. Brewing our mesquite porter. What kind of grains we got going in this now?
Right now we've got the smoked wheat that we did with you guys. 30 pounds of it. We've got 5 pounds of pale chocolate and 5 pounds of roast. We've already put in 35 pounds of proximity red and Vienna grain.
Oh yeah. And we're adding them kind of like little by little as so the grains don't kind of form like a dough ball, right? You were saying?
Correct, yeah. We want all of it to be hydrated so that we can get as much sugars as possible out of all the grain.
We're essentially just making like oatmeal right now, right? Kind of like pulling out all the starches, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess another thing would be tea.
Yeah,
so we're basically making a tea with all the grain.
Fermented grain tea.
Except we don't call it kombucha, we call it beer. Yes, if we don't have sugar, the yeast doesn't function. And if the yeast doesn't function, then I've basically made nothing.
Has that happened here before?
No, we haven't had one here, but I have had it happen at another brewery we worked at.
Yeah, there's trial and error with all of them, but I feel like, I mean, you've had enough experience in this industry here to not, to have your stuff kind of dialed in, right?
Yeah, for the most part, we're dialed in. We know what's going on. When we had it happen over at the other place, we heated the mash up a little bit too much. We got up to 180. All the sugars were cooked, and there was nothing left over for the yeast.
So we weighed it out over on the grain stand, and then milled it in, and the mill goes up over the top of these tanks, and then it goes up there, and we fill the can up on top of the big systems deck, and then add it in here. Just helps mix up the grain, prevent those dough balls from forming.
So we're trying to get it up to 150.
Anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. We usually mash it for about 45 minutes. And then you rest it for 10 to 20. And then you pull all the wort off into the boil kettle and you sparge. So you rinse the grains with clear water again to rinse all that sugar fully out of them.
And then that goes into the wort.
That also goes into the wort, and then we boil that for about an hour. It breaks all the protein out, sanitizes it too.
Yeah, brought it to a boil so it cooked all the sugar so it didn't have...
Well, if you boil the mash, if you boil it with the grain still in it, it'll the enzymes in the grain will convert the sugars over to a more complex structure that the yeast can't break down. So the reason, like, you have to keep the mash below really 160.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you start converting your sugars over and your yeast can't ferment them. So you're trying to keep the sugars as simple as possible. And then once you get it off the grain, you can boil it.
Okay.
Because the grain's enzymes no longer affect it.
Nice.
And that's the other reason you boil it, is to kill off all that stuff. Ideally, you'll like brew the day you pull the yeast off something, and so you just pull it off.
Yeah, you pull it off and
put it in.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many days a week do you guys brew?
It depends. With COVID and all, it's pretty slow, so.
It's sweet.
Yeah.
It's mesquite bean. It smells so good. I remember we did some mesquite bean cornbread with Sandeep. Niche bread before.
Oh yeah.
We've tried milling them and it just gums up the mill.
Yeah, I bet. The stuff inside, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Nothing like brute force.
That's right.
It's like how you pound a brisket.
Oh, it's a quarter kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just get really excited when it's time to drink beer.
This is our barrel-aged Oktoberfest. We took a classic Marzen Oktoberfest, took half of it, put it in a red wine barrel from Wedding Oak, and then took the other half and put it in a bourbon barrel from Treaty Oak, and then blended them back together and carbonated it, and it comes out with the nice oakiness of both barrels, a little bit of vanilla from the bourbon. It's a great beer.
It's a great beer. Hop water. So it's pretty popular right now amongst the brewing community to like dry hop water, cold water, and then carbonate it. And they have also done, gotten a bunch of the kind of wild foraged herbs and stuff that they do a lot here at BeerBerg, and also put it in here. So it's just like piney, hoppy, herby, just this really rounded, but not too intense flavor just on a very nice, light, sparkling water, and it's delicious, honestly. I could drink it all day long without getting drunk.
We need to talk to Patrick and Paul about that.
So that's the prickly ash horehound. We use horehound as the bittering agent and the prickly ash tree for lemon flavors, / you get a little bit of like numbing and tingle in the mouth. It's pretty intensely bitter, supposed to taste a little bit like Ricola, kind of a medicinal beer. Really interesting, it like stands out for sure.
Ricola!
So right now it's just gravity feeding over into the next. You want me to slow it down?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Eventually all that water's going to go through and it's just going to be clear water sitting on top as it runs through. But you always keep just a little bit above because otherwise your grain bed will compact too much and then it won't let water flow through anymore. And you get to sit here for 3 hours waiting for it to trickle into the boil kettle.
Yeah. You know, I've been to a lot of breweries and taken a lot of brewery tours. Like, you know, I'm sure you remember back in Austin when it was like, oh, you get the tour, you get the glass.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is so much deeper into the process than I've ever known or ever seen. Like, I've done a very limited amount of home brewing, but like it's very cool to see all this.
Yeah.
What is this contraption?
So it's an oil extraction kit, and we use it mostly for the Wildcraft series. And what I'd like to do is find different ways to use all these herbs in our beers, and so that may be like, for this one, it's very literal. I'm gonna do an oil extract of the hops, and then maybe even like have that as an option at the bar. If the IPA is not hoppy enough for you, you can get a little dropper of hop oil and dose your beer or something. But like even the whole Wildcraft series, a lot of these herbs, I've just got them dried, but maybe you want to see what the yarrow or mugwort or bee balm tastes like.
It's like a reverse of the Berliner Weiss, right? You put the syrup in, but this is like you put a little hop. That's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I have this whole idea that you can like do a whole mixology thing yourself.
Yeah.
And just create whatever beer you want.
Yeah.
And like mix and match and whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, I want to. This is like the first time I've even used this here.
Yeah.
But I want to make like candles and beard oils and all sorts, like a hop beard oil.
Yeah, let me know when those beard oils
of course,
come out.
right? We all want to just walk around smelling like hops all day.
So we mashed. That means we cooked the grain with a certain amount of water for about 45 minutes to an hour. Then at the same time we were like circulating the liquid, so you have a little bit of liquid on top, a little bit of your wort on top, kind of hydrating, filtering through your grain bed. And then there's a separation here, there's a mesh screen here. So right now what's happening is we're sparging, okay? It's my favorite word. We've got our wort going into here. And then we've got more liquid, more hot water coming up on top of here to soak down through the grain bed to make sure we get all of the extra little sugars, extra everything else. So we got all the grain tea coming out and we got more water coming on top to make sure we get everything out of it. Then we're gonna boil this with the mesquite beans. This is the first version of the beer that we're making. This was kind of the test batch. Had a little bit too much, they said, mesquite bean flavor, so I think they're dialing that back a little bit. I think we can increase carbonation a little bit personally. The mesquite tastes great. I want more smoke though. I think that was one of the other things we wanted on was more smoke.
We let it boil for an hour, and then we run it through the chiller and into our tank, and then add the yeast. So we're about an hour and a half, 2 hours from adding the yeast.
See you soon.
Give it time to ferment, and then a little bit of lagering time. Should be good.
That's it.
Yeah.
Cheers, y'all. We're out here at BeerBerg Brewing, Fitzhugh Road, out here, Dripping Springs, just outside, southwest of Austin. We did a collaboration with these guys. We smoked the grain for this mesquite porter. As you can see, I need a refill. Mesquite smoked grain. They use mesquite beans, they use mesquite leaves, whole mesquite beer. We also smoked the ingredients for these tacos. It's a collaboration on multiple levels. We got mesquite smoked barbacoa here. In this taco, it's got a little tomatillo sauce on top. These are like toreados. They are red jalapenos that have been charred and then marinated in soy sauce and lime juice. They're very good. And these little white onions are marinated too. They're fantastic. I've also got these veggie tacos right here. These came out really, really good. Black bean, smoked adobo. We have caramelized fennel. We have some peanuts in there too for some really good texture. Got that creamy jalapeno sauce you see at a lot of different taquerias. Some pickled red onion. It's a collaboration. It's tacos, it's smoky, it's mesquite, it's beer. That's what we do. Excuse the drip. Barbacoa. Very good. Tell me about what you guys do.
Yeah, we've been brewing together for 6 or 7 years now. We started brewing at Uncle Billy's together, and we both, in our own way, are kind of outdoor enthusiasts. We both just really enjoy hiking and being outside, and you know, you're much more of like a holistic, meditative, healing outside person. I'm like, go out and climb the biggest mountain I can find.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. And then, like, as we were brewing, neither of us stick to a particular style. We both really love experimenting, and so we've always just been curious about new ingredients and new styles and stuff like that. So being outdoorsy people, we're always like had our eyes on these plants that are all around us. You hear about it a little bit and you read about it in the books. It's like, okay, you know, consult an herbalist and then go buy this from a homebrew supply store or something like that. But we obviously thought that was really cool, took it a step further, and Gino took a course so once Uncle Billy's had we left Uncle Billy's, it closed down soon afterwards, and we were trying to figure out like what's going to differentiate this place that we're trying to create. And we got really into this concept of wildcrafting, and so I took a bunch of free herb walks from a local herbalist who eventually recruited me to come to her school, and I did 9 months of herbalism training. And Gino kind of concurrently went to a permaculture school.
It was a permaculture design course out in Blanco to learn more about nature, landscape, what I can do about what we have out here.
I can walk out and identify and say, that's what we should brew with. I don't have a clue how to grow it. And so, yeah, I'm not a gardener at all. Gino, on the other hand,
he comes out there with a weed eater and whacks everything down, and I'm like, oh God, no.
Yeah, but yeah, you've got 2 permaculture berms that we're probably going to plant some of it this fall, and then the rest this spring, so that what we can't find on this property, we'll go ahead and plant. Like, everything is native to the soil types and the area that we have here and the native habitat. So it's all stuff that you would find normally anyway out here. Yeah. So we're basically just increasing water retention, boosting the native habitat.
I love that you guys have such a distinct voice in kind of the brewing landscape of Texas, or in Austin right now. You almost see, like, you know, when craft beer kind of comes to a community, it's first like, all right, here's the only really good brewery here. And then it kind of nichifies. Yeah. And you get people kind of like spinning off into their own thing. And I feel like BBQ is doing something very similar now too, with different cuisines, different cultures. And, you know, also kind of in the same vein of what we like to do with sourcing locally and doing stuff like that. So it's really cool. It's really inspiring to see what you guys are doing here, just working with the land to create really, really good beers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
No, I think that was what's cool about the collaboration that we did with it. You guys do a big emphasis on sourcing local. So not only are we just going out and foraging for stuff, but all the grain comes from Texas, the yeast comes from Texas. Everything that we can source here, like, you know, the mesquite beans that we ordered for this beer. Yeah. Unfortunately, we weren't able to forage for them like I did last year. They just weren't there this year, and maybe I missed them. Maybe the freeze got them. But like, when I can't find it, I source local.
Yeah.
So it was a good alignment of goals there.
Well, thanks again, guys. I appreciate you having us out here and working with us on this beer. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah. First time we ever put mesquite in any of our pits, which is really cool and fun. But
nice.
Yeah.
All right. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate it. Okay, thank you, Trevor, Gino, Ricardo, the whole team here at BeerBerg. We had a lot of fun doing the Colla-BEER-ation with these guys out here. Yeah. Food was great. Beer was great. Till next time.